Yo guys, Dorky here, and with all the soul ashes that we've gotten recently, most people should be able to craft their legendaries by now, meaning that there's been a lot of anxious decision making going on, and I'll be making this video to go over what I think is the best legendary to start with. I like to start out by saying that don't be in a rush to create a legendary, it is not that important right now. I can understand if you want the fun factor, then by all means just craft the legendary whenever you want. But for those of you who actually care about getting the right legendary ASAP, I would recommend holding off until at least Heroic Week, if not Mythic Week. Me personally, I will be crafting my legendary after Mythic Week and when it is available to me. Also, if you somehow craft the wrong legendary, it is not a big deal. It'll only take a week to get another one and a month to max one out. And again, it's not a big deal to have one maxed ASAP. Within a few months, you'll realize that you have plenty of legendaries to play with. Before I start going into which legendaries are the best, there are 3 different aspects you should consider. One is a more defensive option if you feel the content you do is challenging and will require the borrowed power to help with that. Because as a player looking to improve, it is important to not be a liability by going with a more offensive choice and dying more often as a result. 2 is a more offensive option for easier content, or if you're just really confident in living the not so easy content. And 3 is to consider raid versus M+, how much you value early progression versus doing other types of content such as M+, PvP, or off-speccing. However, there are some legendaries which I believe will be too good to not use regardless of how defensive or offensive it is. One more thing is that you should always craft your legendaries in slots that give you the most stats, following this order. Another alternative is to see which pieces are likely to give you a high item level piece in the future, such as drops from Sire Denethrius. Now, starting with Brewmaster, you should definitely go for the Keg Smash legendary. This is easily the best first legendary you can get. It's good for all content, it's easy to use, extremely versatile, and is both offensive and defensive. It provides a burst of aggro generation and allows you to quickly get your brews back early. However, if you do want a bit more of an offensive pick to start out, you could go for Charred Passions, which helps you squeeze out a bit of extra damage in Raid or M+, but it will require a not so flexible playstyle, which involves weaving in blackout kicks or spinning crane kicks for more damage over time. As a Blood DK, you will have to choose between tankiness and damage for legendary. Super Strain will be my go-to pick because of how much damage it provides in both a Raid and M+, and also due to the fact that Blood DK's damage is really bad currently. Even in higher keys, I will still stick with Super Strain as many of the other options do not really increase your effective HP in any meaningful way. If you feel you need the extra survivability, you can opt in for Brindauer's Might. It's definitely not a bad option to maybe just get rank 1 of each. For Guardian Druids, it is highly debated on which legendary to start with, as many of them are good. The Bark legendary will be my go-to pick for higher level content, but may not be the best for everyone. It is a great option for early raiding and doing higher level key pushing since the other legendaries are not as good defensively, but this also means that you gain 0 damage out of this. The Ursock's Fury Remembered is the second go-to pick for early M+, as it does great both defensively and offensively when doing easier content. However, in raid, it might not be the most useful legendary, making it a bit niche. It's not a bad idea to have one of each if you feel like you're doing a mix of easier and harder content. Drawn of the Deep Focus if you really care about damage early progression through cat weaving and owl weaving, but personally I feel like I would not recommend this till later on when you want to parse during either farm or speed clears. As a Vengeance, there are 2 great options for 2 different builds that I cover in my Vengeance guide. The Fiery Brand build with Fiery Soul is a much more defensive option that I feel is amazing for raid progression and higher M+ pushing. In raid especially, this really lets you cover up for Vengeance's lack of quote-unquote mitigation, making it my go-to pick. The Spirit Bomb build, however, with the Sigil reducing legendary, is much better for easier content or just bringing more damage if you are less worried about survivability. In this case, it is also not a bad option to grab one of each at rank 1. Prop Paladins have multiple fun legendaries, but the Avenger Shield reset is way too good to pass up. It provides more holy power, constant first Avenger Shield absorbs an AoE, and crazy amount of interrupts for M+. This legendary is great defensively while not sacrificing much damage. It's extremely versatile in every situation. Now if you really want to min-max damage or specialize more, You could go for Mad Paragon for pure single target and raid, or Bulwark of the Righteous Fury for huge AoE damage. In this situation, I'd either go for the Mad Paragon or the Avenger Shield Reset, or only maybe one of them if you plan on Mythic Plusing early or raid early. Protection warriors are looking to get either the Wall or Thunderlord, depending on if you focus on raid or M+ early on. The Wall provides significantly shorter cooldown on Shield Wall, making it extremely favorable for raid while having some flexibility in M+. Thunderlord, however, while it may not be good in raid, it's extremely good in M+, making it a must-have if you don't plan on raiding. I would like to also go over Unholy DK in this video, even though it may not be a tank, since many people are curious as to what legendary I will be starting off with on my Unholy DK. Even though Deadliest Coil sims the highest for single target, it does absolutely nothing for AoE, whereas Frenzied Monstrosity will be the best AoE while having great single target, making it my first legendary. However, we do not know if we can get Frenzied Monstrosity, so if I have to delay for too long, I may just opt in for a low rank Deadliest Coil. So even if Deadliest Coil might have a slight edge in some raid encounters, Frenzied Monstrosity will probably bring more overall. To finish up, like I said at the start of the video, don't stress out which legendary you start with, as you'll very likely end up having multiple. If there are guides out there suggesting differently, that is also fine. The differences are very minor in most situations, and this is all to help with your decision making. I have heard so far that people have been grinding out some of these legendaries from dungeons, but again, you can always take it slow and try to either obtain through M0s or simply wait for M+ to grind that out instead. There will be more interesting, high-level content once M+ season starts, so be sure to tune into my videos or my live Twitch channel, and leave comments on what you guys would like to see. Thanks for watching.